Hello and welcome to the Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm your host, Macy Renee, and we are going on a journey together, my friend. If you've been looking for a podcast geared towards your growth, self-awareness, navigating your brain's daily mind drama, and deep inner work to become your highest and best self, you are in the perfect place. Let's get started. Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Becoming Your Highest Self. I hope that you're having a happy Monday and that you had a good weekend. I celebrated my 29th birthday on the 10th of October, so this Saturday, except I didn't totally get to celebrate because I woke up with a horrendous migraine, maybe the third migraine I've ever had in my life. If you're a migraine sufferer, I am so sorry. Those are the worst. And I normally don't even get headaches, thank God. But of course, the morning of my birthday, I wake up all excited, like ready to celebrate. And then I realize, oh my God, I do not feel well at all. And I ended up being bedbound the entire day. But that's okay because I am getting ready to leave for a girls' trip and it is much needed. And I'm just going to make up for it. Because there are no rules. I'm just going to make up my own and say I'm going to celebrate my birthday as long as I feel like it. So it's going to be fine. Okay, you all. So before I get going, I want to talk to you guys about the difference between masculine energy and feminine energy and how this shows up in relationships and how you can strengthen your relationship if you don't know how this works. So as you know, we're made up of energy. That is human, right? Humans are made up of energy. That's how God created us. And we are made up of both feminine and masculine energy, no matter like if we're a male or female. Okay. So no matter if you're male or female, you have masculine energy and you have feminine energy. Now, ideally, what you want, especially when you're in a relationship, is you want to be, and I'm talking to women here, but like ideally when you're in a relationship with your partner, you want to be in more feminine energy and you want your partner to be in more masculine energy, okay? But there's a difference between the two. So I'll kind of share with you the difference in feminine and the difference in masculine and how this shows up in relationships, because it's kind of like yin and yang. You want a partner to have more of one than the other, but I'll show you like how this shows up typically, okay? So feminine energy is more ease and flow and leaning into emotions and trusting. It's very much like this laid back vibe where you just know things are going to work out. You don't really stress over things. You're in gratitude and trust, and you just know that everything always works in your favor, and you don't have to have this, fear and control over something for it to work. It's really like the expression let go and let God. That's very much a feminine energy to have, okay? And then our masculine energy shows up like this boss, like fix it, handle it, do it. It's the doer, it's the get things done. It's like the fixer of the two, okay? So again, feminine is more like flow and ease and trust, and it's all going to work out and I don't have to worry about anything. And then the masculine energy is like, let's fix it, let's do it, let's go, let's get it, right? And in a relationship, a lot of times what we need is our partner to be in masculine and for a woman to be in feminine. And the reason being is that's like when we are able to really be connected and feel that romance and that excitement and all of the happy, lovey things. But a lot of times in relationship, this gets kind of flip-flopped. And the reason that it gets flip-flopped is because women, we really love to be in masculine energy. And the reason we enjoy being in masculine energy is because we're control freaks, I think. Just to be honest, like the way that this shows up in relationships, and I see this a lot in coaching, and this was definitely me is that we want to, like, we desire the help from our partner, and we desire that they want to spend time with us and do all these romantic things, and, that they're helping us around the house or with the kids or whatever it is. But then when they do, right, because they're supposed to be the doer, the fixer, the get it done. But then when they do, a lot of times we are like, yeah, thanks for helping, but not like that. That's not how I fold the towels. That's not how I want things put away in the cabinet. That's not how I pack the kids' lunches. Like, you forgot the applesauce. You forgot the pretzels. Like, she's going to be starving during lunch. And we tend to totally demasculinize the men and their energetic role. And here's what happens when you do that. So I want you to think of like 2 cups being filled with water, okay? In a relationship, ideally, like, again, males and females have both. So a male is going to have both feminine energy and masculine energy, and a woman is going to have both feminine energy and masculine energy. And ideally what you want is a balance, okay? Like you want the woman's cup to be half feminine, and you want the male's cup to be half masculine. So ideally, if you were to pour one cup into the other, you would have, 50% feminine, 50% masculine, and that's the balance. That's a good balance. But what happens is whenever we as women tend to want to be the doers and the fixers and control things because we like things a certain way, we like things to look a certain way, we want things done a certain way, we are taking over the masculine. So it's like we are operating, maybe let's just give an example, it's 75% masculine. And that means that our man, our partner, whoever we're with, whoever is the other person in the relationship, only has 25% masculine to work with at that point. So the more that we're in masculine, the more that they become in feminine energy. Now, here's the other crappy side of this. When our partner ends up in more feminine energy, we become more frustrated because then they're in flow and ease and laid back and letting everything happen as it is, and we don't typically like that because we feel like they're not doing enough, they're not helping enough, and then we start becoming resentful for their behavior, and they feel like they're not doing enough, and so they step back. They're kind of like, if I try to help you and then you yell at me every time I try to help you, and I feel like I can never do it right, so I'm just going to sit on the couch and watch football or basketball or hockey or whatever it is, or I'm going to go outside and cut the grass because you just you don't like the way that I do things. Like you don't appreciate when I try to help you. You just yell at me and you get frustrated. And then we as women become more frustrated because we're like, are you serious right now? Like, I wish I had the luxury of laying down on the couch and not worrying about it. So it becomes this tension maker in relationships. And how to know if you're maybe in more masculine energy than you want to be is if you're feeling some tension, if you're feeling some resentment, if you long for that romance and your partner being like, let's go on a date, let me surprise you with this, or I bought you flowers today, or whatever it is. If you feel like you're not getting enough of that in your relationship and you're not having quality time and you don't feel like you're being romanced the way that you were in your dating phase, then likely you've stepped into a masculine role. It's a very powerful, I'm going to get things done. I'm going to do the things. I've got this. Don't worry about it. And that is the role of our masculine partner, right? For our, especially for, we're desiring that ease and flow and just being taken care of type of energy. That's the role of our partner, to be in masculine. But if we're taking it, they can't step into it. That's what's important for you to know. If we're taking on that role of masculine, they can only take on feminine. So our roles are reversed. So if you're sitting here thinking, well, great, I definitely can recognize that in my relationship. How do I fix it? You have to learn how to lean into your feminine energy. So I'm going to tell you some ways that this happens. In our feminine energy, we are able to feel and express our emotions openly. It's very vulnerable, and it takes a lot of knowing what you need. So it's kind of like when I talk about, if your cup is empty, you cannot give that of what you do not have. So you have to find things that make you feel really, really good. What makes you feel very, very good, and restores your cup, refills your cup. So for me, that's bubble baths. I know that I'm taking care of myself when I sit in a long hot bath, or when I go sit alone with myself in the car for maybe even just a few minutes, or I have time or make the time to read a book, or just anything that makes you feel really good. And one thing that we have to become better at is that when our partner comes in to try to help us, because that's what they're designed to do energetically, is come fix it, come help. When they do that, instead of shutting them down and rising in our masculine, like, you're not doing it right, you don't pack the lunch the way that I want it packed, you don't vacuum the way that I want the house vacuumed, I want to be able to see the lines in the carpet and you don't do that, you miss spots, you do this, you do that. When you're the one trying to be in the fix it energy and the do it energy, you demasculinize his or her energy, right? If you have a partner, because it's supposed to be yin and yang. And so if you desire more help and more ease and flow and romance, and your partner coming in and really being able to give you what you're needing and what you're longing for, you have to step out of the masculine role and step into the feminine role, which is when they come in and they try to help, you express how it makes you feel when they are helping you. So let's say that they are cleaning, they're loading the dishwasher. And although you load the dishwasher differently because you like it organized differently, instead of coming in and being overbearing and having this momming energy, if you're doing like if your partner ever says to you, you're treating me like a child, you're in masculine energy. And I used to get this phrase quite a bit because I do tend to be overbearing sometimes. I know how I like my house. I know how I like things cleaned. I know how I like things organized. And whenever my husband would try to come in and help me, a lot of times I would just get frustrated because it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I pictured in my mind. And then I learned about masculine and feminine, and I couldn't figure out why he was no longer really helping me with things, or why he could let a room go on for weeks without cleaning it, like laundry and stuff. And I was just so frustrated, and I felt like the more frustrated that I got, the more masculine energy I took on, because at that point I was trying to control and fix the situation. And that's not what works. What works is dropping into your feminine energy and saying, what do I need? How do I take care of myself and give myself what I need to really feel like I'm coming from a place of love for myself, so that I can go be loving towards others. And so what I began doing is started giving myself more self-care. So I would go run really hot baths, and I'd soak, and I'd read and, do things for my business while I was soaking in the tub. And, what happened over time is I also learned how to properly communicate. So proper communication in feminine energy is being able to say, when you unloaded the dishwasher, that made me feel so good. Thank you so much for helping me. Because what in masculine, what they hear is, I fixed it. I did that. That's my role. That's the energy I'm supposed to be in. I'm going to do more of that. But they can't do that if we're taking on that role. So for us, it's very important to communicate, thank you for doing XYZ. That made me feel. So expressing how it made you feel. It made me feel so good when you did XYZ. It made me feel so good when you took the kids for a few hours to the park so that I could rest. It made me feel blah, 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 right? And when you start expressing more of your feelings, you're being vulnerable, you're in your feminine energy. And for the masculine, they hear, oh my gosh, I did that. I fixed that. I did that. I'm in my masculine, so their masculine starts to rise, right? And then your feminine starts to rise, and then there's a balance. We're at that 50-50 balance that we're supposed to be, rather than at like 75%, 25%, for instance. So that's really, really important. And in my own relationship, what I began to recognize was that when I was in feminine energy and I was taking care of myself and I was expressing like, thank you so much for, unloading the dishwasher. That made me feel so much less stressed after work. Or thank you for, or not even starting with thank you a lot of the times. I would be like, I feel so good when this bedroom is clean. Oh my gosh, it makes me feel so happy. And what happens, masculine hears that and they're like, oh my gosh, I did my job in my energetic role. I'm going to do more of that. So you end up getting more help if you're not having to be that person that's in control, wanting things a different way. And another thing that I had to ask myself was, honestly, how big of a deal is it to go behind him and reorganize the dishwasher if it really bothers me that bad? So ladies, you have to ask yourself that. Like, honestly, how hard is it to go, maybe he unloads the dishwasher, he loads the dishwasher, and then he leaves for work. And instead of having an argument about how it's not organized right and taking over the masculine and then not getting what you're needing, right, you instead just go behind him after he goes for work and reorganize it if it's that big of a deal. It takes like 2 seconds. Trust me, I started doing that. It would be like, okay, he doesn't really organize these the way that I would do it, but I feel very thankful that he took the time to do this, and I feel true gratitude. And also what he began to recognize is that when I was in my feminine energy, he started recognizing how I was taking care of myself, and he noticed that I loved being in the bath and that I felt, again, the quote here is feeling, like how, like your energy just feels in so much of a better place, especially when you're in a relationship, when you are in that feminine flow. It's like a magical thing, and they can feel that and they love that because that allows them to step into who they are in their masculine energy and really swoop you up and take care of you the way that you want to be taken care of. But if you're in masculine, that means that they're in feminine, and so that means that you're being the doer, the fixer, and you're basically in this momming energy of trying to get things done. And then you will feel out of whack. You'll feel out of alignment. You'll feel almost resentful because it's like, why aren't you doing anything? Why are you staying on the couch watching football? Why aren't you helping me? Why am I the one doing everything? And you feel exhausted, and it's because you're not in your energetic role, and they can't be in theirs until you're in yours. That's very important. It's a huge deal, okay? So what I began to notice too was that whenever I was communicating more of what I was feeling and I was in that vulnerable feminine state of ease and flow and trust and all of the things, he began running my bathwater for me nightly because he knew that it made me feel good. And he didn't know that I was, studying and applying all of these things in the feminine and masculine energy. Like, I just started doing them for myself, and I started buying myself flowers because that made me feel good. And so before I knew it, like, he had taken notice of the things that made me feel really good that I was doing for myself without needing him to. And he began to run bathwater for me, especially if he would see me stressed, because again, the masculine energy is fix it. I need to fix it. I need to do something. That's my role. And so I would come home super stressed from work, and I would just be like, oh my gosh. And he would say, what's wrong? And I'd be like, I just feel so stressed out. Like, today was such a bad day at work. Next thing you know, I would hear bath water running, and he was running me a bubble bath. He ended up getting me a bath tray for, I think, Christmas that holds a glass of wine and a book, and it's like the cutest thing ever. And he was able to step in and really make me feel even better. And that was a result of me first learning how to be in my feminine energy, how to communicate what I was feeling without doing it in a blaming way, without saying like, you make me feel stressed whenever you don't clean or whenever you load the dishwasher wrong. It wasn't like that. It was like, whenever you do this, it makes me feel so good, or I feel so, insert the great emotion here, whenever you do blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much. And just being internally grateful for that. And it flips our roles into what they need to be. Now, if you're wondering, am I allowed to be in masculine whatsoever? Yes, you can. Like a lot of times if we're entrepreneurs, if we work, when we have tasks to get done at work, or assignments to get done, then we will be in do it, fix it, let's hustle, let's do it energy. So masculine energy for a woman is not a bad thing, and feminine energy is really not a bad thing for our significant other. It's just that there is a yin and yang to it. There needs to be a balance to it. So if you're feeling out of whack, you have to ask yourself, like, am I showing up in masculine energy? Because if I am, then my significant other is going to show up in the feminine, and if I'm going to likely be feeling out of whack because in a relationship, I need to be in more of a feminine energetic role, right? Whenever I want the romance, whenever I want that ease and flow and just, more connection. So there has to be a balance of both. So I hope that this was helpful. I have more content on this inside of Becoming Her. So if you're interested in learning more about this, I just encourage you to check out the Becoming Her program. You get access to everything, one-on-one coaching. It's really the end-all be-all of groups. And so if you are interested in that, reach out to me. Check it out on MacyRenee.com. But I hope that you all have an amazing week this week, and that you get to do whatever your heart desires. Stay healthy, be safe, and I will talk to you next week. Bye. Hey girl, did you know there's a place for you to continue this work outside of the podcast? Well, there is, and it's called Becoming Her. This is my online and ongoing coaching container for self-mastery. Everything takes place online and is the best value for your investment if you're wanting to work with me. This is for women that want to create lasting change by learning how to master themselves, their energy, their mindset, and how to do the deep inner work. It's a growing community where you're supported for life with live online trainings, access to all previously recorded content, and 2 one-on-one coaching calls with me per month. It's an investment where you can rest assured you'll have everything you need at your fingertips, and where there's one primary goal: becoming your highest self. If this has been something you're looking for, join us and be a part of the growth. You can find out more information on MacyRenee.com.